Hey, thanks for watching the Dare to Dream Network. Um, this is another one of my Just Michael blogs where I just talk about whatever the current events is going on, whatever's happening personally in my life. And there's about a month ago, there was the BET Awards, and Jesse Williams did a speech that went viral. And a lot of people were offended by his speech. And as life would have it, there were such timely events that took place after that, such as the police shootings of Black men, and then the Dallas police shooting by a Black sniper. Um, as a result, mind you, all of um, all of this was as a result. The Dallas shooting was a result of the recent killings of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling. So I'm not saying that any of this should be praised or magnified or glorified, but Jesse's speech, was dealing with how we have injustices in this country and how there's like a hidden code of racism, and not so much hidden, it's just the way we are treated and the way we are affected by the way we're treated, and so forth and so on. There's so much to be said. And his speech was profound because it's just like crazy. You have people like Wendy Williams who gossips about everything and sensationalizes everything, and she was attacked for some of her comments about what his speech was about, the value of his speech, and so forth, and that she was expected, I guess, to give a different response, um, or to have that pro-black attitude. Um, and I guess she failed people in that sense. Um, I don't know. I don't know what people are looking for or expecting from people, but we don't all respond the same. We are all not the same. And yeah, she may have her views of Black America or whatever, and her view might not be what you think, honestly, and she's entitled to that or whatever. But at the end of the day, um, I feel like her comments was funny because if you're watching, you get this little feeling um, of what was happening in that room, and you can see the admiration. You can feel it. You can smell it. Um, you can see it on the expression of everyone's face, like damn, this brother stood up for us. This brother got our back. This brother is spitting the truth. We haven't heard truth like this um, in a long time. There's many people too afraid to speak up because let's face it, we're in a time where you could be sued for just about every damn thing. You could be sued, lose your job, and so many other things. And so he's in a blessed position to be able to express his thoughts and his feelings and his concerns and not have the risk of losing his job. The fact that people would even think to pull together um, petitions. Thank you, petitions to have his job taken away from him over expressing himself. You know, the director of Grey's Anatomy, the lady that wrote, I can't even think of her name in this moment. Shonda, is that her name? Um, she said that she wasn't going to fire him or whatever. She did a response like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to Shonda Rhimes. By the time I Googled it, I mean, it hasn't even come up on my phone yet. But she made her statement that she wasn't interested in firing him. It was not going to happen, regardless to how people felt about what he had to say. And I don't know why people would think that she would choose to fire him for any of his statements. And I know there was other things that happened with some other people on Grey's Anatomy for comments or something that they've made or whatever. Um, it just doesn't even matter. And at the end of the day, I don't know why people thought she would do something like that, considering the fact that she speaks out against injustices and different and speaks for different causes all the time. And I'll say this much also: um, Jesse receiving that humanitarian award is apparent. It was um, very much needed. It was, of course, a blessing to him to receive that award. Obviously, it's apparent they chose the right person. More importantly, it opened up um, the eyes of people that are his fans and viewers and so forth. We see and understand him now in a different light. You know, if it wasn't for this occasion and for this award show, I would have had no clue that he is a teacher or was a former teacher. Um, I didn't know any of this information about him, and it's good to see other Black men being profiled, uh, not in a negative way, but being lifted up and showing their best qualities, and the articulation of his speech spoke so many volumes that it was just like ridiculous. His level of intelligence and his brilliance and his memory to be able to put words together in that fashion in a short period of time, within minutes, um, condensed a speech that's probably going to be used over the years to come. People will refer back to that speech for several reasons or other. Um, it's been sensationalized. I'm already seeing new videos. I'm even seeing videos where white people are responding and giving their opinion or their take and all of that. And it's like, whatever. I mean, he committed no crime. And I mean, like, it's just crazy. All of the conversations that are being had in this moment, you know, with the recent events that have happened in the news or whatever, the fact that we're still having these black and white conversations, that's a good way for me to label it. Um, the fact that we're still arguing over race, the fact that we're still saying that we should be a post-racial America because um, post-racist, excuse me, America because we've elected a black president and we have a black president. That racism is over, that racism is dead, and those facts, as we know, are not true because racism is very much still alive and very much a part of, I don't want to say our everyday lives, but in some form it is. Um, I'm blessed by Jesse's speech. I'm honored to know that there's a voice of intelligence out there that is doing the work in his community. And in whatever ways possible, this is the right time for those of us to gather around him and support him, show him our support because he's going to need that support and that strength from his community, not just to continue on, but to continue to voice and lift his voice and raise concerns and to express what needs to be expressed in our community in an intelligent way, in a way that does not harm other people, but also uplifts people and brings people together. So there's a lot to be said about that. And it's high time for us to get past the black and white conversation and to really work on building our community and building uh, ourselves as a people. I can't express to you enough how timely this speech was. Um, I wish I could have wrote down quotes out of his speech to have to discuss, because it was just crazy. It was crazy. I'm looking up on my phone because I'm telling you, the speech was so viral that there are transcripts, word for word, supposedly, of what he said. And this phone, it pulls it up, but it was towards the end of his speech when he made the statement, just because we're magic doesn't mean we're not real. Oh my God, I wanted to dance off of that comment and that statement because, you know, within the African American community, we are noted for being the entertainers, for being talented, super smart in various different things. And it's almost a thing of being hated. Um, Hated because we have these abilities that almost come off as magical. It's like we make certain things appear so easy by our gifts and our talents, the way we sing, the way we dance, and the way um, we provide flavor of life to everything that we do. Um, and some people are threatened by that. I can't seem to find, like, if this thing pulls stuff up, but it's not in a way that's conducive for me to use. Um, I don't know what the hell this is. You guys can't even see that. But it's the middle, like one side of something. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? Nothing with that. Half a page. I can't enlarge it or make it any smaller than what it is. Just whatever. I'm still Googling, see if I can find it somewhere else. Just because we're magic doesn't mean we're not real. Okay. And it's funny how that is like the first thing that comes up when it pertains to this topic or pertains to looking up this video of him. That quote is deeply powerful. Another good thing to note, because I wasn't aware of this and I started hearing a lot about it directly after um, the airing of that show. Y'all, excuse me. I'm just Michael right now. Um, it's a documentary that I didn't even know he produced. It's called Stay Woke. Stay Woke, the Black Lives Matter movement. Uh, I'm not sure if that's the title of the film because you know how people do. They just, but I do know that the title is Stay Woke. I don't know if it has that Black Lives Matter added to it. Um, but I do know that he did a film, self produced a film, sat down with several people and had conversations um, about issues within the African American community. And I think um, one of the other things that pissed me off that I did not like that I saw was people making the statement, well, he's biracial or whatever, as if it even matters and as if that makes him any less black, um, or the words that he's saying any less powerful or any less relevant. Like that's just BS to me. And then to have President Obama thrown into it also by saying he's biracial too. It's almost as if many people are trying to say, yeah, he may be a black dude or he's our black president, but he's also half and half. And it's just like people are never satisfied. That's why I always say, if you're waiting for a moment for people to love and praise you or whatever, they may be doing that today and then lynching you behind tomorrow or crucifying you or whatever. So I don't live for people and I don't do what I do for people. Nothing that I do is to impress people. I don't give a damn what people think about me or whatever, or how they feel about me or things that I say. So you cannot live for people. You have to be the best you, the best person that you can be for yourself and for those that you're choosing to represent and for those that choose to support you or be a part of what you're doing. So to even bring up the fact that, oh, he's biracial or whatever, like, as we say, the islanders say, miss me with that. Miss me with that. Like, I'm finished. I'm finished. Um, he talked about his parents and thanked them for being there, for teaching me to focus on comprehension over career, and that they make sure I learn what the schools were afraid to teach us. And also thank my amazing wife for changing my life. All these sites with the click here and read more, it's getting on my nerves. Now I have to wait for this to pull up. And of course, it's not pulling up. Lord have mercy. I'm trying to get to, oh no, not this again. took me back to that site that I showed you guys earlier. Um, mm, According to Time magazine, the documentary is called Stay Woke, the Black Lives Matter movement. So I guess that is the title, now that we have that clarified. Okay, I have the rest of his words. It says, now this award, this is not for me. This is for the real organizers all over the country, the activists, the civil rights attorneys, the struggling parents, the families, the teachers, the students that are realizing that a system built to divide and impoverish and destroy us cannot stand if we do. It's kind of basic mathematics. The more we learn about who we are and how we got here, the more we will mobilize. Now, this is also in particular for the Black women in particular who have spent their lifetimes dedicated to nurturing everyone before themselves. We can now, we can and will do better for you. Now that we've been doing, now what we've been doing is looking at the data, and we know that the police somehow managed to de-escalate, disarm, and not kill white people every day. So what's going to happen is we're going to have to, we're going to have equal rights and justice in our own country, or we will restructure their function in ours. Now, I got more, y'all. He literally had to say that because people were screaming and cheering. Yesterday would have been young Tamir Rice's 14th birthday. So I don't want to hear any more about how far we've come when paid public servants can pull a drive-by on a 12-year-old playing alone in the park in broad daylight, killing him on television, and then going home to make a sandwich. Tell Rekia Boyd how it's so much better than it is to live in 2012 than it is to live in 1612 or 1712. Tell that to Eric Garner. Tell that to Sandra Bland. Tell that to Dorian Hunt. Now this, now the, now the thing is, though all of us are here getting money, that alone isn't going to stop this. All right. Now, dedicating our lives and dedicating our lives to getting money just to give it right back for someone's brand on our body when we spent centuries praying with brands on our bodies. Now, we can pray to get paid for brands on our bodies. I'm not even going to read the whole thing. I mean, we all heard it, but it was a lot of the thoughts, things he said, had to say, things he shared was powerful. Especially, I say it all the time when it pertains to wealth building. Um, and you know that that's a topic that I deal with and talk about a lot with entrepreneurship and wealth building and business and so forth, in my videos and in my dealings. And his words was powerful, for me, in the sense that when you talk about us trading, it's like a trade off. instead of us using these opportunities to build ourselves up, there are a lot of us who are not even where he is and many others, but we use this system of career and work or whatever just to make dollars, to hustle, to support a lifestyle, a fake lifestyle at that. Because many of us really cannot afford the way we're living, the clothes that we're buying and stuff, but we do it anyway. It's almost like we're just sucked into this trap, but I'm just not even going to get into all of that. Um, and I always feel like people in the African American community have a tendency of wearing their money. You know, we want to be flashy, we want to be seen, we want to look good. And there's nothing wrong with looking good. There's nothing wrong with being crisp, clean, wearing the latest fashion or anything like that. And kudos to those that do. And if you can afford to dress a particular way or whatever, or what you do, wonderful. But more importantly, if you don't have the amount of money in your bank account that it costs for them $800 jeans, $500 sneakers, and $500 uh, red bottoms and so forth. I mean, some of the most average people don't even have that saved in their regular bank account, but all your money is on your back, in your clothes, on your feet, in your shoes and stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense when that money could be invested in you, invested in your mind, your education, in books that's going to enrich you and take you further. And I think in small ways, the one reason why I really thoroughly love this speech is because it hits big topics, broad topics, but in such a short and condensed way. Like, if you dissect this speech, there's a big conversation being had and within these words. And I'm gonna just be honest with you. When it comes to a lot of the people that were killed and stuff, I'm not that well familiar with a lot of the names, maybe even the stories of what happened to those individuals. But now I'm learning who they are and researching. Um, there's a lot of benefit that came out of this speech, obviously. So all the other drama and stuff that was said or things happening, um, I'm not moved by that. And his comment about it's much better to live in 2012 than it is in 1612, that was powerful too, because or 1712, because people like often talk about, oh well, you know, think about what your ancestors been through in this country and stuff like that, and we're not living the life that they lived and so forth. Um, we're not facing some of the hardships that they had to face, and yeah, that's true. And we're thankful for where we've come from. But the bigger picture or the bigger point is that we're also tired of the way um, people interact with us in this country and the way people treat us and the killings and so forth that are happening. It's just ridiculous. So um, don't insult us by saying we should just get over slavery. We should just get over this and get over that. Um, these are real things that happen. And I don't see nowhere else in no other culture where they're advising you to forget. Matter of fact, a good example of what I'm talking about is several things. In the Caribbean culture, in the Caribbean culture, in those islands, there's more islands in the Caribbean than I probably am aware of or know names of, but I'm just going to deal with the names that I do know. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Jamaica, and so forth, Puerto Rico, um, are all islands made of a mixture of Spaniards, Europeans, Indians, and Africans. And we all know there were different um, Indian tribes scattered on different islands. Some of them went by different names, but they are a part of the same gene pool, um, and what have you. Commonly, it was the Taino Indians. Um, as a method of survival, they had to mix with the new inhabitants. They were the indigenous people of that territory, but they had to mix with the people that were being brought there, such as the Europeans and the Africans and so forth. But in Caribbean culture, you don't hear people say, "Oh well, we forget our history and we forget about the Indians and forget about this and forget about that." No, the history of that is passed down through generation. People know who they are. They know who their ancestors were. Race in the Caribbean is not always such a big topic like it is here in the States, because people know that they are of a mixed origin and of a mixed culture. So it's not, alarming to have someone black in your family, or for you yourself to have black ancestry or whatever. And that's just one small facet. Another clearer depiction of what I'm trying to talk about would be how the Jews were hunted down and killed by Hitler. But you don't hear people saying, let's forget about the Holocaust. No, I mean, it just doesn't happen. And there are several other instances of racial cleansing and so forth, and wars and things and injustices that have happened to people, and we don't forget them. We memorialize those things. We have holidays surrounded by those things, and we discuss and talk about those things. So within the African American community, I feel like, yeah, we should move past blaming everything on the condition of how we live now, because there's no excuse for why we aren't better now and achieving more and being more and doing more or whatever. But in a nutshell, I'll say Jesse Williams's speech is powerful. We all know that, but it is I don't want to make the mistake of saying it was entertaining. I don't want people to look at it as entertainment. Um, I do think this will be a speech that will have an impact on people for quite a while, and something that will continue to be celebrated and talked about. And I hope to hear more and see more from him. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but I'm thankful for him receiving this award, because yeah, I did say it, but it opened my understanding that he was a teacher, that he dealt with um, Black cultural studies, um, and several other things. I would not have known about this film if it wasn't for that moment, and many other things that I learned about him thereafter. So thank you, Jesse, for the speech. Thank you for standing up for us. Thank you for standing in your truth and speaking our truth. And thank you for inspiring other young people that look up to you as an example. Thank you for being an educator. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the community and the lives that you're impacting by lifting your voice. And I pray that uh, our people as a community will surround and support you. And I'm pretty much confident that it's going to happen, because the right attention has been brought to this. Even though it appears to be negative, it just shows people all the more why we need to support you. So in a nutshell, I just want to say, you guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Express yourself in the comment section. Anything you have to say to me, want to share, thoughts that are worthwhile talking about, share them in the comment section, and share this video. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber of the Dare to Dream Network. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.